Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Aamir,
Salman,
and Shahrukh.
Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to part 2 of Best of 2022 with Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
Hello.
Hello, and I hope our audience appreciates the pains to which we go to make this podcast because technology is not our friend today, but here we are still.
Yeah, even our recording platform was like, enough with 2022, I give up. I can't do this last 20 days anymore, so it gave up on us. So we're back recording how we used to back in the day. But we're excited. We have lots of things to talk about. We did a part 1 already where we were talking about, wrapping up the whole year. Now we're just going to head into our top lists, okay? Mm-hmm. What are we starting with? Should we start with best of South Indian, like non-Bollywood? Maybe that would be a good way to start, no?
Okay.
Or is it... how did you guys make your list? Let's start that way. Did you guys make a list? How was the process for you guys?
Yeah, so I basically saw at the list of movies that I watched this year and basically said, what award can I give each of them? Because I'm Darya Dil like IFA and Stardust. So pretty much that. There's no thought process or really heavy brainstorming that is involved in this year's movies. Deservingly so, because we watched not many great movies this year. And so that's how I arrived at my list of top 3, I guess. I can't even think I can go up to top 5. But if you are saying like non-Bollywood movies, I think the one that stood out, I guess pretty much everybody would agree, is RRR. I don't think anybody can sort of ignore that movie at this point. It's such a humongous movie that it has now had a life of its own beyond the movie's release schedule itself. I think it's gone beyond boundaries and it's been enthralling audiences all across the world. And I'm happy for it that it's reaching audiences where Indian cinema previously hasn't. And I hope that it opens doors. I think we have been speaking about, the crossing over of Indian cinema into newer territories. And I hope RRR is that movie. It's been, Indian cinema has been trying to do that for ages, what Crouching Tiger probably did many, many years ago. But I hope that's the beginning of it.
I personally feel RRR shouldn't be on anybody's list. I think it's a known category now. So I think it's kind of like, if we include it, it's probably, gonna... I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't put it on my list at least, And plus, like I said, it's like, it's gone its own way. It's owned by white people now. It's not our movie anymore.
It is Paraya Dhan.
Exactly. Amrita, how did you make your list and how did you go about it?
I think for me, it was very simple because if I went out to the cinema to watch something, then I did it because I was that invested in that film. And so for me, it was fairly simple just looking at the list of movies that were released this year, because I don't think I actually went to the movies to watch bad movies, because sometimes you do that, right? Like sometimes a movie is going to be terrible and you're like, well, I still want to watch it. The closest...
I made one such decision this year.
I think the closest I came was like, I wanted to go for Liger, but then life intervened and saved me for myself. So I didn't actually get to see it. But I did want to watch that movie. But apart from that, I don't think there were any bad movies that I wanted to watch. Like the 101 Akshay Kumar movies that came out this year, I wasn't, I wasn't compelled to watch any of them. Even on streaming, like they're just movies that were just so bad that I didn't even feel like watching them on streaming. So I feel very kind about my list of movies that I've watched this year, because they were movies that, even if they didn't come up to my expectations, they weren't that bad.
And is your top list top movies just Hindi movies, or have you mixed them all up together?
It's a mix of them, but like I don't even know what I mean when I say top, actually. But it's a mix. It's a mix.
Okay. And Sujoy, did you rank them, or is it just is the ranking important in your list?
No, I don't think so. I mean, whatever is ranking, it's all made up anyway.
So I have a top 5 list that I have ranked, because I feel ranks are important.
You are that guy.
I am that guy. Once a year, I am that guy. Then I made another list of South Indian movies that I just put in the South category, like a regular Pakistani that doesn't understand the difference. Then I made a worst of list, and then I had 2 more lists. One was underwhelming, so movies that, after all, it is you podcast. There is a brand recognition there. And then, so the movies that I liked, but they were still missing something. And then I also had so I had a worst of list, and I also had movies that I just missed, that I wanted to watch, that I couldn't watch. And these are movies like Jhund, is that how you pronounce it? Attack
Yes.
Part 1, Dhakar, Khuda Hafiz Part 2, Raksha Bandhan, Jogi, Chup, and Phone Booth. I can't believe I did not support my Katrina this year, unfortunately. But none of these would have ended on any of my list, I think. I don't think they would have been the best, and I don't think they would have been the worst. So it doesn't really matter in a way. So shall we start maybe with the South Indian movies? Is that a good way to go about it?
Yeah, sure.
I watched a lot of them. Like when I started making the list and I saw your lists of what you have watched, I watched a lot more than you guys, just generally. And I watched a lot of South Indian content this year. I have not made the jump to watch any South Indian streaming shows yet.
Yeah.
But the movies I've watched quite a few already. So the South Indian movies I didn't actually rank. I just put the ones in that I liked and the ones that I didn't like. Or there's 2 movies that I just did not understand. Like, audience loved them and they did not work for me. I didn't get them. And these are 2. So it's one, Vikram, which I just didn't connect with at all. And the second was KGF Part 2. Both have been massive successes, but they really didn't work for me, because I think Vikram is speaking a lot to its fandom, which I have missed out on, and I didn't get any of the references. There were elements that I liked, but the movie didn't have any surprises for me necessarily. And KGF, I just didn't enjoy. I just didn't enjoy that movie. What did you guys? Amrita, did you ever watch Vikram, or did that one miss you?
I was going to watch it, and then it just sort of slipped by, and then I started seeing Kamal Hassan on like all the round tables, and then I was just like, oh yeah, I meant to watch this, so I will watch it before the end of the year, I think. Even if Kamal Hassan did sort of annoy me at the round tables, because it's all like, it's the Kamal Hassan show. Like the man does not understand the concept of a group interview. So, but I'll watch it, because, I mean, it's a Kamal Hassan film. Like, who won't watch it? I will watch it.
Yeah. Did you watch KGF Part 2?
So I was really put off by KGF Part 1, which I've discussed before. And I know that I'm in a very like small minority when it comes to that. Yeah. So I did
not on this podcast, Amrita.
But I was just really bored by KGF Part 1. So I didn't put any effort into watching KGF Part 2. But I know it made like 1 billion rupees at the box office and everybody loves it and everybody's like, Rocky Bhai. I don't know, maybe I'll give it a try sometime, but I don't think it's a priority for the remaining 10 days or something of this year.
Yeah. What about you, Sujoy? How did those two work for you?
Again, like I'm totally lost on the Vikram fandom or the Kamal Hassan fandom or the Lokesh Kanakraj fandom. I really appreciated his whatever universe he's trying to create with Kaithi and this now. I preferred Kaithi to Vikram because that was less of a star vehicle and more of a thriller, whatever action movie. And this was pretty much like the Kamal Hassan action vehicle. And yeah, when like even with Salman Khan movies, when it starts veering into the Bhai image rather than a movie, then it becomes too much for me. And when you are not in on the fandom, then it totally loses your interest, you know. So Vikram didn't actually work for me. And what was the other one? KGF 2. I did not, have any interest in watching that because I tried watching the first half an hour and it was too loud of part 1, and so I didn't really continue with the story. The one name that we haven't mentioned yet other than RRR that we spoke about is Kantara, which is making a lot of positive noise around a lot of the film discussion that is going around right now, and it being a small movie and it having a really strong message, very strong visuals, and the climax that it has, and people watching it as a theater experience. We did not get a theatrical release here in the UK. I think we had a Telugu dub which sort of appeared on Cineworld for like 2-3 days, and I didn't want to watch a Telugu dub of this, and I watched it on Prime, and it was really something. I really enjoyed it, but again, I don't know if I would consider it as my top 3 of the year when I have other... I don't know. It doesn't feel like a movie that I would consider like it's my absolute favorite of the year. So it doesn't make the list.
Yeah, I was also kind of surprised by the hype of this movie. I watched it recently. I haven't finished it yet, actually.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but it would not have been on any of my lists necessarily. Yeah. Amrita, did you watch Kantara?
Yes, I watched it on the big screen, actually, and I enjoyed it. But like you're saying, is it like the best movie that I've seen this year? No, it's not. But it is a lot of fun. And it does some very interesting things. I think once you deconstruct it, it's probably less awesome than a lot of people are saying it is. But I think it also presents a very rooted reality that is being misinterpreted by a lot of North Indians who are watching that film, and they don't really understand what this film is trying to say. I feel weirdly, Sujoy, that I think people from the Northeast might understand this film a lot better than like people from like the North. Just because it sort of feels more tied to the land and to customs in a way that, like you won't find in, say, UP Bihar or something.
Yeah. It's more to do with folklore and folk gods and how it, sort of ties into your tribalness in a way.
Exactly.
And I don't think people would understand that from the North, I suppose.
And I think like the movie that I don't think you guys have seen, but I really enjoyed was Tiruchitrambalam with Dhanush.
Yes.
And that was very cute. But again, is it like top 5 cute? I don't think so. But I enjoyed myself. And it's always fun to see Dhanush being Dhanush and having fun on screen.
Yeah. So here's my top 5 of South Indian movies that I thought, right?
Okay.
So technically still RRR is number 1. You have to put it there, but it doesn't really count. But yeah. So I had let's go back to 4th maybe. Number 5, I had Tallumala. Okay. Is that how you pronounce it? Is
yes.
that correct? Tallumala?
Yes.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this movie. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I just say that it's hilarious that Asim can't pronounce Hindi words properly, but the Malayalam one, he's like bang on. He's like, yeah, Tallumala. Like, absolutely on point.
But you corrected me last time. That's why I made a note of it. That do not pronounce the H. I tried to, like. So yeah, that was my that's my number 5. I quite enjoyed the editing of it. It didn't totally work for me, and I had a lot of questions about why a lot of things were happening. But I think the movie moves at such a pace, and it's enjoyable that you don't really stand still with the questions that you're wondering. But just like the action and like just the choreography is just a fun time to watch. So that's my number 5. Do you want to do number 5s, or how do you want to go about it? Should I just give my list, the whole list?
Go for it.
Because mine is mixed. Like, it's not going to be like separated. Yeah. So you should go.
Okay. So that's that was my number 5. Number 4 is 4. Okay, 4 is Jana Gana Mana,
which I haven't watched.
No,
which you haven't watched. A Prithviraj movie. They were actually talking about it on that round table. I really enjoyed this movie, and like at the end of the year when I was making this list, this is a movie I still think about. I think again it takes a few shortcuts in its filmmaking for the final reveal that it's building up towards. But I think the payoff is there, and I think I enjoyed the intention of the movie more than the movie itself. So I'll give it, points there. So that's my number 4. My number 3 is Shyam Singha Roy.
That was last year.
Was it? I thought it was this year. Wait, let me see. I made sure I Googled it, but
I think we all watched it this year.
Yes, I think that's why I screwed it up. Yeah, I saw it on my Amazon Prime list. Yeah. That's why I saw it this year. It came out. Yeah, and the release windows have been so small. I was even confused with Pushpa. I already saw Pushpa, and then I crossed it out. So so that was my list. So I'll put it on there. We haven't talked about it too much, but I thought this was a great movie. I thought the production values, the performances. I really, really enjoyed this movie. The one then I have is, I've totally lost track, PS1. That was the one. Funnily, we didn't get to talk about this movie, and Amrita, you were pushing that this was a great, great movie, and then we ended up not having a chance to really talk about this movie. What are your thoughts on Did you ever talk about it, Sujoy, PS1 on the show or not? Do you remember?
I think we did. Me and Amrita did, because
you and Amrita did.
Yeah, because Sujoy had to come back and Wikipedia the whole thing, because he was like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, and then Asim did the same. Right? You went back to, whilst you were watching it on streaming, you opened Wikipedia and tried to follow everything.
Yes. Yes. I mean, it's such dense storytelling. It's such a beautiful movie. And I immediately regretted not seeing it on the big screen. But I was really thankful that I wasn't seeing it on the big screen, because I would not have understood anything that was happening here. It's almost a movie that actively does not want you to come along. Like, it's a movie that it's clearly not made for the RRR audience. It's like the anti-RRR to a certain degree.
Mani Ratnam is like saying, do your homework and come first,
Yeah. So this I kind of really like it. I mean, it's such a grand scale. I can't wait for the next episode to drop, whenever that is. I love that this movie has a lot of dad bod representation. Like when we were talking about this, Dakota Johnson has a face that has seen a mobile phone. Like these are tummies that have swallowed donuts. You can see it. It's moves and love handles galore, but these are like apparently also awesome warriors. So I thought that was really cool. It's almost unfair to put any other actress next to Aishwarya Rai. Like, it's like you have Shobita Dulipali, and next to Aishwarya, she just looks like a random woman. It's like, it's terrible, but like the camera is so in love with Aishwarya, right? Like literally she's a painting here. It's amazing. And I also enjoyed, Vikram being Channa Mereya CGIing all over India. I enjoyed that. But yeah, I really love this one. I like this movie. I think it doesn't have the scale necessarily in action. Or even the CGI is kind of terrible a few times. But I think the success is so that I'm hoping that they can improve upon these things in the next episode when it drops. There's only 2 parts, right? There's more parts?
Yeah. I think Mani Ratnam says like he wants to wrap it up in 2 because he doesn't have the budget.
And he's already finished shooting it, actually. So he shot the entire thing at one shot. And then he released the first part. And now the second part is coming out in April, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited for this one, and hopefully, at least now I understand enough of it to be able to comprehend what's happening on the screen when it comes out. 2 movies that landed actually on my worst of list, but then I added them here. It's Beast and Godfather.
I was going to ask you if you'd seen Beast, because I don't think we discussed it. Did we? I can't remember.
We might have when you were off or somebody else was off, but yeah, the Beast was horrible. And I've honestly added Vijay movies. I won't get them. I won't understand them. Like Rajnikant movies, I won't understand them. So I'm not going to watch them. I think it's not for me. I'm not the audience for it. I don't understand how people like him. They see him as a superstar hero, and I just don't see it. I don't know what they like about him. So if that connect is not there, I don't think I can, because the whole movie is like hero worshipping. And I've watched a few of him now, a few movies of his now, and I just don't get it. I don't get it at all what it was. And I think the same problem I have with Godfather that we did discuss, it's when these movies become too much hero worshipping and I don't understand, I don't have a connect with the hero, then it becomes very hard for me to understand those movies. If we do this with Salman, I get it, I'm part of the cult, it's fine. But Vijay or, there's so many other Chiranjeevi, other heroes, I just don't get it. So these movies don't work for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, I made good life choices, man. I did not watch Beast, but I did watch Godfather. So I don't know where I stand on that.
I mean, the Salman portions were the fun portions of the movie, though, I have to say.
Yeah.
Represent hashtag Bhai for life, Yeah.
As in bringing the Khan back into the Khandaan podcast.
Of course. They're not making movies, but I bring them back, whatever they do. Any others, Amrita, that we missed out or we should have maybe checked out? Anyone that you can think of? That was it, right?
I think that was it, actually. Oh, there is actually one movie that I mean to check out before the end of the year, if I can find it on streaming. And that is a Malayalam movie called Bhishma Parva. And that has Mammootty in the main role. And it sounds really good. Apparently it's like Mammootty being like a movie star, which he's been doing very actorly roles for a while now. So I haven't actually seen a mainstream Mammootty film in a while. So I want to check that out.
Cool.
And I also wanted to watch Sitaramam, which I didn't get a chance to watch, unfortunately. That's the one that I missed out on. Yeah. And I think the round table, there was also the movie from Gautam Menon, which is now out on Prime. I won't try to pronounce it, but that seems pretty good too, which I also didn't get a chance to watch.
The gangster drama, right?
Yeah. So I'm still exploring South Indian movies. I'm really not there, but I think I did pretty good this year, actually. I'm quite happy with myself. Shall we do the worst of list, which probably the most fun of it? Did you guys make one? Did you guys make a
I mean, I have only 2 movies on this and
Yeah, tell me yours then. Go
okay, so to begin with, obviously Godfather, which I did not get. It's so much slow motion. It's so much of just weird elements coming together as a movie and trying to make sense. I have no recollection of what the movie actually was trying to do, and I have no recollection of what it actually achieved on screen. So Godfather is up there, but the cake goes to Hero Panti 2, which I made the wonderful choice of watching it at the cinema because why not? I was in India and Heropanti 2 was playing, and I knew it was going to be terrible because it's directed by Aamir Khan. And what else can you expect from a movie that has, Tiger Shroff? And I don't know what it tried to do, man. This movie is so terrible on so many levels. It's just, I don't know if they are in on the joke or they are aware that they are the joke. Yeah, there's so many. I'm just out of words. Heropanti 2 is just terrible cinema, and I don't know how they made it happen. I think I floated the idea that this was like a money laundering project that Sajid Jadwala was trying to, spin off. They had money to, wash, I think, through this movie, and that's the only way it makes sense. I just don't know how this movie got made.
Heropanti 2 is the only movie that I didn't finish. I just quit midway and I was like, I'm done. I didn't want to do it anymore. And that was the only one. And I've watched a lot of bad movies this year. So that was like, peak badness, where the point I knew that this was not going to go anywhere. I think the reason why we watch it because let's not say we like Tiger Shroff, but he's built up a bit of goodwill in our minds, right? I think he's working hard. He dropped War. And I think we were hoping that, something decent might come out. But it's, I think the problem lies with Ahmed Khan, like as a director, right? Yeah. Like he's just terrible. He should quit. Like he's a bad director. Like and he's gonna, like, if he keeps making these movies, he's gonna hurt Tiger Shroff, and maybe Tiger should stop working with him.
Yeah,
that's how bad things are.
Pick your lane. Ahmed Khan is a good choreographer. He's done some epic choreography in Bollywood cinema. Just pick your lane and stay there, man. Do what you are best at. Don't try to diversify your portfolio by making a music video into a movie.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same goes for Remo D'Souza, who made Race 4 or whatever. Terrible movies. Please pick your lane and stay there.
Prabhuda also makes bad movies.
Yeah.
Like, is this a trend? Like, are choreographers except Farah Khan not able to make movies?
Yeah, Farah Khan
is like, she has the filmy knowledge. She knows how to make a film, rather than these people who try to make visuals into a full-fledged movie.
So Farah and Sanjay Leela Bansali, those are the two choreographers that can actually like make films and just wildly
Sanjay Leela is a choreographer?
He used to be, yeah.
Oh, what did he choreograph?
1942 and then a couple of other things. That's where he started.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, interesting. Amrita, you make good life choices.
Yes.
So did you make even a worst of list? Anything that you watched that really disappointed you?
Really just one thing, and it's not really even that bad, but like honestly, like it was just very meh. And that is A Thursday with Yami Gautam.
Okay.
And I don't know if either of you watched it, but if you haven't, don't bother. Like I knew it was going to be somehow related to a Wednesday, but I didn't realize they were just going to go ham on it. And they basically it was just a very nonsensical movie. Like it made no sense. And the whole thing was about like how Yami has like, like steel in her spine or whatever. And I guess like if you are willing to give like 2 hours to Yami Gautam being a badass as she talks to people and then ask them like the tritest, most boring questions at the end that is supposed to hold up a mirror to society. I feel like if that's your jam, then maybe this movie is a good movie. I don't think like that makes a good movie. So it was definitely not made for me.
Yeah, actually, I reviewed A Thursday, and it's still on my good list. Like, not in the top list, but I thought it wasn't that bad. But I am more forgiving of Yami Gautam than you are, I think, probably. That's the reason. My worst list is let's go. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I won't rank this list. It doesn't matter. The worst movie of the whole year for me was Liger. Not only because it was bad, but also that it was terribly, terribly disappointing. Like, it had the budget behind it. He was hyping it up like crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like he was going to make 100 crore movie and stuff like that. I remember all of those statements, coming off of Kabir Singh or whatever. Was the original Kabir Singh? No.
Arjun Reddy.
Arjun Reddy, right? He was like fully confident, right, on this movie. And it just was so bad, to the point that when I go now and I go to the cinema and I come back and my daughter asks me, was the movie good or bad? And I say it was a bad movie. Recently it happened. I went to some movie and I think it was Vikram Veda or something like that. And I told her I didn't like it. And she goes, was it as bad as Liger? So this is like in our house, Liger is the limit of what something bad can be. So that's the level. And this was so bad. And I really feel in a way, I don't wish failure on anybody, but I'm happy to see that Vijay Deverakonda has to eat a bit of humble pie, because I think sometimes that's necessary, and
also, I think, like, following the entire PR circus behind Coffee with Karan and how Vijay Deverakonda was the talk of the town throughout this season, and then to have that sort of, in a way, passively advertising and sponsoring Liger, and then we knew from far away when the first promotions happened, how bad it was going to be. And I stayed far away. I did not even touch it with a shit stick, and yeah. It's
a terrible movie. I don't even know. It didn't even get any traction on streaming when it came out. It landed there and nobody talks about this movie. So yeah. So the other movies that I had here were, the other bad one was Ek Villain Returns, which was utterly terrible. I remember I talked about it on the podcast itself, and I've just watched too many Tara Sutaria movies, and I feel I should get a prize for that or something like that. She's a really bad actress. And I was like, I remember the most interesting part of Ek Villain Returns is the intro shot, the way the movie starts. And I was like, wow, this is actually a pretty cool shot. But it seemed familiar to me. Like, where have I seen this shot done before? And obviously, they ripped it off from season 1 of Gangs of London, because I was watching rewatching the first season, and then because season 2 was starting, I was like, oh my God, they just ripped off this. The only good thing about this movie was that shot, and they stole it from Gangs of London. So that was another one that was on my bad list. Bachchan Pandey is there. I hated Bachchan Pandey. Kriti Senan, what she has to do for a paycheck, I feel bad for what Bollywood is doing to her. And then the other one that I really hated was Runway 34, which I watched for Amitabh, and Amitabh only shows in like an hour later, which was terrible. Like, I feel scammed, like I was with that Dharmender movie, which was that old ass movie that was like a play.
No.
The Rishikesh Mukherjee movie.
You know which one I'm talking. Yeah, the Rishikesh Mukherjee.
Oh, okay, Chupke.
Chupke. I haven't felt that cheated since Chupke. I love it. I love rubbing it in for of the classic.
The people are going to come for you.
Yeah, I love it. Also, almost put Dobara here. The Anurag Kashyap Taapsee movie. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie.
Nope.
No.
Yeah. So I can say this now. I was supposed to interview them because they were they released it at the London Indian Film Festival, and I go in prepared. It's Anurag Kashyap, so I watched the original Spanish movie. I wanted to be like really prepared, and then the interview didn't happen. But I had like, pull quotes from his interviews, and it was like, he was like very like oracly as he is, like, I like the original Spanish, but there was one mistake that the filmmaker made that I want to change in my movie. And so I was like watching it, I was like, what is this change that he's made? And there was no change. Like, I couldn't even figure out what he was like fundamentally making difference in. And then we have also like Taapsee Panno talking about alternate dimensions, and there's something that Taapsee cannot deliver. She's an amazing actress, but do not let her talk about alternative dimensions. It just doesn't make any sense. She's not the actress for it. So that almost landed on that list. But I thought, it's Taapsee, Anurag. I like them both, so I'll keep them on the list. So this is my worst of list for me. Shall we move to our best of? It's time, no? Amrita, you want to start us off with your number 5, if you have one?
Okay, so on number 5, I think it's Lal Singh Chadda.
Ooh, okay. Nice one.
So I went into this movie completely expecting to hate it, but I think it did a pretty good job at what it was trying to deliver. Like, it was a feel-good family film. It almost felt like a Christmas movie. I can't understand why it didn't come out at Christmas time, because that's Aamir's time, in as much as Aamir has a time. And
I can now imagine, in Tare Zameen Par, when he's the teacher with the Joker thingy, he is now dressed as Santa saying it's Aamir time.
But this movie, like, it was, the discourse around it was incredibly stupid, as we discussed during the time that it was released. And I still maintain that Aamir made it out, like, okay, like, with the whole China release and everything. But it clearly knocked him back in a way that he was not prepared for.
Yeah.
He sort of seems to be having some sort of existential crisis because of all the stupid discourse around it. And that's very sad. Like, I make a lot of fun of Aamir, but look, at the end of the day, do I believe that he loves cinema and that he has an idea for what he's doing? Yes, I do. Like, I criticize him, but I definitely don't think that he was dealt a fair hand. And I think it's shameful what happened with Lal Singh Chadda earlier this year. But if you haven't watched it, like, I absolutely, the person who always criticizes Aamir, I'm telling you that you should go watch Lal Singh Chadda on Netflix. It's perfectly fine.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought we'd end up here?
That's how terrible 2022 has been, you guys. Like, I'm here recommending Aamir Khan films.
Yeah, it's like that Paul Rudd meme of look at us here, look where we are.
Hey.
Sujoy, what's your top 5? What's your number 5?
So I have Lal Singh Chadda on my number 2, just to show you where it lands in my list. On my number 5 is Loop Lapeta. I don't know if anybody remembers that movie came out this year, a remake of Run Lola Run, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it tried to do new things with the original concept, and I think it manages to inject some sort of a fun into the movie. I enjoyed Taapsee Pannu in it, and I also enjoyed the little references to Goa and the comedy that it has. It's quirky, and I had a good time watching it, to be honest, and that's why it's on my number 5.
This is on my underwhelming list.
Okay.
I came in quite excited, and I hadn't seen the original in a while, but unfortunately, this did not work for me. But I know that a lot of people really enjoyed it. So, and I still like Taapsee, So, it's interesting. I wouldn't have thought that this would be on your list, but glad to hear it. My number 5, I actually cheated, guys. I put 2 movies on my number 5 because I had too many things. I have Gehraiyan and Kala, both of those movies. Gehraiyan, one of those movies that I think we were quite positive on it when we reviewed it at the start of the year, but it's been one that I've been thinking about for the rest of the year. I've been listening to the soundtrack. I've been, it's also just a very ballsy movie to make, so I still, and like we were talking about in the last episodes, there's certain movies you think about and you gave them a positive reviews and then you're negative about them, but now it's the opposite, where you thought they were okay, but now they're even better in your mind. And I think Gehraiyan, we gave it a good positive review, and it's actually grown in esteem in my mind, and I feel it might be one of those movies because it came out early in the year. Not enough people will be giving a shout out, so that's Gehraiyan for me. Sujoy, you have anything to add on Gehraiyan?
Yeah, it's on my sort of honorable mentions kind of a list. And it's not one of those movies I stop and think about anymore, but I remember actively having like almost a panic attack whilst everything was unfolding in the final hour of that movie. And that I haven't felt watching a movie like in a very, very long time, and props for that.
And the way that it ended was also really unsettling, and props to it for that.
Yeah, and Ananya Pandey.
Yeah, she was
great in it, right?
Yeah, she was a good actor.
Yeah.
We stopped calling her like that was the movie that made Asim call her Ananya Pandey. On the podcast.
Yeah.
Both Ananya Pandey and Kartik Aaryan did something this year, right? Like pronouncing their names correctly.
Sujoy is like, really?
And Kala is the second one that I put on my top 5. We just literally did a review on it, so there might be some recency bias there. I did enjoy it, but it might not be a movie that I want to revisit really quickly. Yeah. But it is a beautiful movie, and I think it has a lot of potential. It might be one that gains in popularity as, people discover it. Yeah. Like people like Amrita who still haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
Number 4, Amrita.
Okay, so at number 4, I have actually Gehraiyan. Like, that was my movie for number 4. Nice. And the reason why I have it is because of many of the reasons that you were talking about. But also because it was just like a very well acted movie. Like, the more I think about it, the more I feel the performances were under discussed and underappreciated. And it was trying to do something different. You know what I mean? Like, it's not if you tell me that there's a movie with Deepika Padukone, Ananya Pandey, and Siddhant Chaturvedi, this is not the movie that I would have thought that would come out.
Yeah.
So, and Deepika playing like an actual asshole, like not even like a redeemable one, but like an actual, like horrible human being. At this stage in her career, like I absolutely give her kudos for it, because usually when Bollywood heroines, they do something, hatke, as they say, it's usually something like, Nari Shakti and women's empowerment, and like, she's a martyr to the cause, etc. And here Deepika is just like, no, actually, like I'm just gonna play a selfish, sort of screwed up, aimless person who's just sort of grasping and like doesn't care who she hurts in service of herself. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you, girl. Like, that's actual stretching. And I really enjoyed it.
Sujoy, number 4?
So I have 2 choices.
Okay.
Drishyam 2 and Monica, Oh My Darling.
Oh, nice. I also have Monica, Oh My Darling on number 4, so we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Why Drishyam 2? The Ajay Devgan version?
Yeah, the Mohanlal version came out last year.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. But I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did at the cinema. And I knew all the twists and turns that were coming, but there's something about how Ajay Devgan plays Vijay Salgaonkar, and also the addition of Akshay Khanna into this movie that makes it for me. Like, you needed a sort of somebody to stand against him, which Tabu fairly did, but the addition of Akshay Khanna, I think, makes this spicier, masaledar. So that's why Drishyam 2. And Monica, My Darling, on my first watch, it was okay, but I did not really fall in love with it. I rewatched it again, knowing how it was going to unfold, and I picked up on so much more to enjoy with this movie. The music is amazing, and Huma Qureshi and Rajkumar Rao, to rewatch their performances was something special for me. I really thoroughly enjoyed Monica, My Darling.
I'm exactly on the same page as you, and that's why it's my number 4. I think the soundtrack is amazing. I've been watching that first title track all the time. It's like that's where my movie on Netflix is stuck, because I just keep watching it. I think it's just amazingly done. Huma Qureshi, man, for the win. She is amazing. I've always liked her, and I think finally something that is doing justice to her talent after a long time. And this is one of those rewatch movies. It's almost like Jackie Brown, Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown, like the movie you can, like a hangout movie you can put on the background and just like every time you pick something up new. But even if you are fully engaged with it, there's so much tension, such good performances and such darkness, like a really good film noir, Also, there's that knockout fight scene between Rajkumar Rao and Huma Qureshi. Like, how cool is that, just like a drag out badass fight scene and Huma Qureshi like holding her own. There's so many of those elements in it. I that's why it's my number 4. Amrita, number 3?
Okay, for number 3, I have Badhai Do, which came out earlier this year. Yeah, like I don't know if either of you remember it even, but like it was...
It's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Badhai Do,
So I thought that this movie, like I'm still like sort of processing my way through it. But I thought it was like really... I like the fact that it was talking about issues, but in an Indian context, because sometimes a lot of the movies that you see or content that you see around, say, gay people, it sort of borrows the lexicon and the settings of the West. So there's a sort of thing of like, okay, so like gay marriage. And I'm not saying that, Indian gay people don't want to get married or anything like that. But I'm saying that they sort of borrow the language from, say, the United States or from the UK or something. But, and a lot of that is because the people who are driving the conversation tend to be, city dwelling, English speaking, westernized Indians. But in this movie, they were talking about like 2 small town people and the challenges that they face and the solutions that they come up with, which are very Indian. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I had low expectations because I was kind of like a bit done with that brand of filmmaking, but this movie really won me over. Like even with my biases coming in, I thought this was a lovely movie. I really enjoyed it, but it didn't make my list unfortunately, but is one of my honorable mentions. Sujoy, number 3, unless you had anything to add. Did you watch Badhai Do?
I haven't. I'll definitely check it out, since you guys are praising it so much. I think on number 3, I have, again, 2 mentions. One is Gangubai Kathiawadi, Sanjay Leela Bhansali movie that we love to hate and hate to love. Alia Bhatt's performance is definitely up there as one of the strongest ones this year. And only because of that, rather than because the movie itself did not as much work for me, other than how much memorable Alia's performance was in this movie. The transformation of the woman she becomes and her entire journey. As a movie, like, I don't know if Sanjay Leela Bhansali needs to take a break from movies like this and needs to go back to the drawing board. But again, this was a very successful movie for him, so I don't know what I'm talking. And then the other movie that made it to my number 3 is Jalsa, which is an Amazon Prime release that came out, I think, middle of the year, with Vidya Balan and Shefali Shah. It was a streaming release, but it totally blew me away completely. This movie was an absolutely well-written, well-directed, well-acted thriller for me, and I rarely had the time to breathe through this movie. It was such a tightly wound movie. It was amazing. The performances are top-notch. The ending is top-notch. And we have already talked about, the movie title drops at the end of the movie. It's such a baller move. I still think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Great picks. They did not make my list, but they were part of my honorable mentions. Jalsa, the title sequence, the performances, the ending is really good. Really think about it a lot. My number 3 is Lal Singh Chadda. I mean, you know where I stand. I'm the biggest Aamir fan of this podcast. So this movie just has amazing rewatch value, you know. We loved it when it came out. The soundtrack is amazing. Probably might be my favorite soundtrack of the year.
Yeah.
Kareena is light incarnate. She's so good. Like talk about, you know, running away with a movie and just like making it her own. She's amazing in it. And it just has so much heart, and it's just like a proper family movie, you know, like there's not that many that you can watch with your family and everybody can enjoy. And that's why Lal Singh Chadda is my number 3. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope people still give it a chance and discover it. I think it's a lovely movie. Yeah. Number 2, Amrita.
Okay, so this is a movie that you really hated, Asim, but I think An Action Hero was a lot of fun.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give it its props just because it did everything right? Like it got a whole bunch of people who are not nepotism beneficiaries, and is like first time writers, first time technicians, first time director, all that jazz. And it was funny. The pacing was just like really great. It was well made. I couldn't, if I hadn't been told that this was made by a crew of first timers, I would never have believed it. And it kept me engaged the whole time, which is sadly becoming more of a rarity in Bollywood these days, because sometimes I'm just watching a movie and then I'm just zoning out and then like zoning back in. And that didn't happen with this film. And it was something new. And it was fun. So I think that's my number 2.
Yeah, I think even though I didn't like it, even when we were talking about it, I understand that people like it, and I would not actively tell people to not watch it because it just didn't work for me. But I appreciate it, and I understand why people like it. So I get it. I get that it's on your list for sure.
And it's one of those movies that I'm sure people are going to watch over the holidays, you know, and then in January everyone's going to be like, "Why didn't it work? Like I loved it. I watched it yesterday. It was amazing. My whole family loved it." And then, you know, it's going to be the same old discourse.
I might even be one of those people when I watch it. Even. Like, you know, like I get it. I totally get what you're saying. Sujoy, number 2 for you.
Lal Singh Chadda, man. It's my number 2. Whatever has to be said about this movie has already been said, but we already did a full episode on what we liked about this movie, the compare and contrast with Forrest Gump and how it changes and improves on it for me. Like, I felt so much more heart and, you know, the whole story behind the randomness of the universe and whether we make the decisions or are we thrown into this world of random happenings. And if, you know, the whole existentialism concept, it was so much more beautifully and lyrically depicted in this movie. And the lyrics of the songs, Kahani, Tere Hawale, Kareena, Aamir Khan, everything to do with this movie is magic for me. I keep rewatching this movie and it was pure magic. I just love this movie.
Yeah. I think it's all on our list, so I think we all kind of agree on it. Just different rankings. My number 2, we're at number 2, right? Yeah. My number 2 is Thar.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's one of my honorable mentions, actually.
Yeah. I mean, like I talked about it, I think when we reviewed it, I already liked it then. I love Hindi westerns. It's just a genre that I really appreciate. Be it Lal Kaptan or be it Tashan, just give me it. You know, it's something that works. And I just think I kind of vibe with Harshvardhan as whatever he's interested in. It seems to be what I'm also interested in. I don't think anything that he's done has not worked for me. You know, even the first movie, what was it called? Marziya, whatever it was. I kind of liked it. I was the only one in the screening that came out that kind of enjoyed it. And then Anil Kapoor is in it, you know, like this is all, you know, things I lap up. So yeah, I feel this movie didn't get its due. And it might be because people don't vibe with Harshvardhan, or it came out as like a proper streaming release and people don't talk about it enough. But I feel it's gotten lost somewhere, and that's why I wanted to bring it back. And it's definitely my number 2 from all of the movies I've seen. So that's Thar. Top. Do you want to add anything to Thar? I imagine it's not on either of your lists.
No, but it is an honorable mention on mine. Like, I really enjoyed it. Anil Kapoor was really great. And they really worked with Harshvardhan's like lack of expression. So that really worked.
Yeah. Top movie. Top. Amrita, you want to go first?
Mine is Jalsa.
Ooh, that's why you were so quiet last time. Tell.
No, this was just like amazing. Like, the tension in that movie was insane. Like, I was so unsettled the entire time, and it was insane. Like, the performances, like Shefali Shah just blew me away. And Vidya Balan, again, like, you know, like, this seems to be the year of the unlikable female protagonist, whether it's Alia in Gangubai, or whether it's Vidya in Jalsa, or Deepika in Gehraiyan. But I feel like both Deepika and Vidya, especially, they just like really pulled it out. And this is like a movie that I keep thinking about on and off. And I think it was really well made.
Yeah. It's wow, good pick. I think we've spoken about it a little bit already. I think we all liked it. I'm glad to hear that it's on your number 1. Sujoy, number 1.
So
Cheating kari hai tumne. I can feel the cheating laugh. What's happening.
Yeah.
So, like, my number 1 is probably pretty much on brand. It's Brahmastra, guys.
I knew it. I knew it. I was waiting for it.
Like, I like, no matter how much you shit on this movie, I had a blast at the cinema watching this. This was like everything I love about Bollywood in a very highly designed dharma package with all the memes that can come out of it. We've been making Shiva tumne mera button chhu diya, Shiva.
How are you doing that so well, man? How are you doing a good Alia Bhatt impression? I'm like so surprised. It's on point.
आग से मेरा पुराना रिश्ता है ईशा. So I freaking love this movie, man. For the genre that it's trying to explore, and the entire the conviction that has gone into making this movie, the blind belief. We don't get to see that at all in movies today, like especially with studios and every other corporate producer involved in the production of a movie, unless there's Sajid Nandiadwala trying to make Heropanti 2 with other intentions. We don't necessarily see like a multi-year project which has taken all the resources of a studio over many years and with many crew members, and it eventually conquering 2 years of the pandemic to make it to the cinema. And the entire when Jagga Jasus was sort of the industry joke, and it did not do well.
Yeah.
And how much we loved Jagga Jasus. And I think the cumulative goodwill of Jagga Jasus's failure has gone to Brahmastra being a success. And that's why I love it, man. And I want good things to happen to this project. And I'm really looking forward to the sequel that would be out. I don't know when, but I am really looking forward to it. But also, I have a cheating, as you said, into the rules, that one of my favorite movies of the year, it's not a Bollywood movie, but I think it's already made our, hearts explode with so much fun. It's The Legend of Molajat, man. We've already talked about it so many times on our podcast. We have a full episode dedicated to it. Check it out. But Legend of Molajat, there's nothing like it. I wish there were Bollywood cinema trying to recreate this magic. And we will talk about that when we talk about one of my categories, which is the underwhelming or the potential success that could have been. But Legend of Molajat delivered on everything that was promised in the trailer and more. I could not have. There's nothing that I could have expected more out of this movie. It gave me everything and more.
God damn it, Sujoy, I didn't even put it on my list. Somebody's going to take my Pakistani card away from me, And you know how valuable a Pakistani card is, Legend it's literally one of the best movies of the year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I was just so compartmentalized with different lists that I didn't even think about it. Which makes Legend even better because it's not part of any list and it is amazing.
Yeah.
Amrita, I so hope you can get to watch it one day.
And me too.
Yeah. My number one, and I am so surprised this is not on anybody's list because we've been teetering around these two performers being Alia Bhatt and Shefali Shah, and you've not mentioned the movies they were in together, which is my number one, Darlings.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, right. So, this is my number one movie of the year. The things that we've talked about Alia Bhatt, we've talked about Shefali Shah, and I think they really are playing characters here in this movie in a setting that's, like a whole world of its own. This poor Muslim family of two women and battling this horrible, toxic male played by Vijay Verma, who's one of those characters that you love to hate on screen. And it's just almost like in Avatar, you have that villain, right? Played by Stephen Lang. You love to hate him. And Vijay Verma is like that, but in a very, very small world. And the toxicity that he has. And it's just an amazing world that they create. The use of language, the reveals at the end of, again, if you guys haven't seen it, I feel like just the love story reveal that happens at the latter half of the movie. It's just so lovely. It's so beautiful. I love where this movie ends for its characters and the kind of where they end up and the success they have after going through all of the things that they went through. And this is one of those movies that really kind of stood out for me. I didn't go in with very high hopes, but when I was making my list, this was probably my favorite movie of the year. So if you take out, Legend of Molajat and you take out RRR out of the equation, this was the one that stood out for me. And when I was looking at my list, all of my movies have been streaming movies, except for Lal Singh Chadda,
Yeah.
Gehraiyan, Kala, Monica My Darling, Thar, Darlings, all of them are streaming movies. None of them have been the big ones, Gangubai Kathiawara, Wadi or Brahmastra, they came close, but Jalsa was closer. If you look at it that way, Kala was closer. So it's just been a surprising year. But Darlings is my top movie of the year. Guys, you have to watch it, man, if you haven't had a chance yet.
For sure.
Get on it. Cool. I think that's this part done. I think so. Sujoy, you have some categories first, right? You want to go through the Khandani categories?
I have only 3 of them.
We haven't prepared this, right? So we're going freestyling.
or 4, to be honest. So the first category is the best performance of the year. Who do you think was the best performer in all the movies that we've mentioned so far?
Is it redundant if I say Shefali Shah because she just knocks it out of the park every single time? So
I was going to say the same thing. That was going to be my pick too, Shefali Shah, because of Darlings, because of Jalsa, and probably because of Delhi Crime Season 2, right?
I've got her as well. So unanimous decision that Shefali Shah wins this award.
I would give an honorable mention to Jaideep Ahlawat for an action hero. Because he just stole the show.
Otherwise, popular category probably Alia, right? Like Gangubai and Darlings and even Brahmastra. I think she was amazing in this. So.
Shiva?
That needs to be my ringtone, man. If we could still download ringtones.
Like, I don't know if you have any meme of the year of the.
No. But what's yours? You're also Shefali Shah. Oh,
yeah, Shefali Shah. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. The worst performance of the year.
Oh my God, there's so many.
I mean, I think it needs to be Vijay Deverakonda, right?
Like, I haven't
for me,
even watched the film, and I feel like it has to be Vijay Deverakonda.
But the thing is, like he put in a lot of effort in terms of physicality. But there's just one crucial decision, and I don't know if it was him or what happened. Why did they make Liger stutter? I do not understand. Like, it does not make any story sense. It doesn't have, anything to do, and he doesn't play it well. He doesn't play somebody that has a stutter well. So, yeah, that, and then in popular category, probably Akshay Kumar, right? Like all of his movies were pretty terrible.
Pick a movie.
Katputli, Bachchan Pandey, Raksha Bandhan, probably the best out of the all. Then Prithviraj, right?
Ram Setu.
Ram Setu, like what a terrible year for him. Like, yeah.
And he's apparently going to have a release every 2 months next year as well. So it's like, oh my God, it's just going to continue.
My award goes to Tara Sutaria for Heropanti 2.
Right. Yeah.
The next award category is the rewatch reward of the year. So, what movie that you rewatched and it was really rewardful for you?
Well, I mean, Amrita, you want to go first?
No, because like I don't think I was rewatching anything like that.
How about you, Hassan?
I think for me, I think I mentioned it a few times. I think Monica Oh My Darling and Gehraiyan probably both fall into that category for me.
Yeah.
And then two others I'm going to add is Lal Singh Chadda, because I literally said that it has amazing rewatch value. And the last one is Brahmastra, which I just think it's a fun movie, It's a really good movie. So those are probably going to be my four, I think. If I have to pick one, probably Lal Singh, I guess, or Monica My Darling, one of those two,
Same for me.
I've been rewatching bits and pieces of Ponniyin Selvan though,
right,
because there's like certain songs and like set pieces that I like really enjoy, and that I've been rewatching. But you know how I rewatch? Like I rewatch bits and pieces. I don't rewatch the entire thing, so it's really hard for me to say.
Okay. Time for the next category, which is the best soundtrack or the best music of the year, or the best song, the song that you streamed the most throughout the year. So either of those or both of those.
Nice. Amrita?
So for me, the album of the year was Shamshera. Like, I love that album. I know I've said this before and I'm the only one that feels it that way, but I love it. Like, like, it is so 80s. Like, I love it. They're like proper anthems. I love it. I play it all the time. I'm still playing them and I enjoy it so much. I also replay a lot of Ponniyin Selvan. And I also watch a lot of Ponniyin Selvan. So Shamshera, I don't particularly rewatch the songs as much, but I rewatch Devaralam Atam and Chola Chola like all the time. Like those are like two of my favorite songs on that album. And then I really enjoy Jeda Nasha, like from An Action Hero. It's a proper bop. And then what other, you know what? The song from Liger, where Ananya and Vijay Deverakonda like the other one, the one that they're in Thailand on the beach.
With the rape sample.
Yeah. That one.
What's happening, Amit? What is happening?
I haven't.
Like, I already took out 5 feminist points last time, and now this is your song.
But I don't know. Like I thought like that was like a fun song, and then was there? Oh, and from okay, this is kind of weird, but like from Gangubai Kathiawadi, the not Garba, what do you call it? Dholida. The Dholida song, but like in the movie, it's like whatever to me. But I really enjoy, like I usually don't, but I really enjoyed watching other people recreate that song on social media.
On Reels,
yeah. It was like probably one of my favorite Bollywood themed Reels throughout the year.
Right.
It was the Prem Ratan Dhan Payo of the year.
Yes, Payo.
For me, it was like the soundtrack of the year was Lal Singh Chanta. Tere Hawale and Kahani just make everything for me. They are everything for me. I also enjoyed Gehraiya's Dube a lot because it's such a funky, groovy song. Jeta Nasha, as Amrita mentioned, Dholida for the Reels life that it has. And I think the most streamed song, sadly, is Kesariya for me from Brahmastra.
Oh yeah, and especially the remix that they like. I've listened more to the new remix that they did than the original one.
Oh, okay. No, I stick with the original.
Oh, okay.
And the Telugu version sung by what's his face, Sid Sriram.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I mean, honestly, this is just a numbers game. Like for me, clearly, Lal Singh Chadda. It's Phir Aisi Raat Na Aayegi and Tere Hawale. I've just listened to them way too much. But I think what is going to... and then I also need to add the title track of Monica, Oh My Darling, which I think is lovely. Like that first song is like such an 80s track. But... Swerve, I think Besharam Rang might creep up from behind and literally take over, everything in the last few weeks.
Well,
and we're talking...
Can we include Besharam Rang? Because I've been like watching it on repeat, like over the past week.
I mean, the song dropped before in 2022, right? Even though the movie hasn't. So I think that's why I'm kind of not sure if we could include it. But what I wanted to say is, because you were talking about Payo, right? I'm just happy that there's no Insta-reel dances on this song. Nobody dares. Nobody's like humping on Instagram for this song, So, that I kind of appreciate that.
Okay. The final category in my list is the lost potential. So whatever could have been improved, and so much potential was shown on screen, but it didn't deliver at the end. Amrita, do you have any such things that you saw and you wish that it could happen so much more differently and in much better ways?
There's two movies actually. One is Gangubai Kathiawadi. Because I feel like, this is the problem with Sanjay Leela Bhansali. The man cannot imagine the concept of a life that is lived outside of a movie lens. So he just like, everything that he is talking about, like in that movie, it's important. It's really like, there's so many human moments that could have been shown on screen, but because he wants to pretty it up, because he has this sort of nostalgic lens through which everything must be filtered and everything must be sort of like, I've said this before, it's all very hermetically sealed, it's like you're watching a snow globe in action rather than a movie. So that's basically what let that movie down, because it was just vignettes of this woman's life, and there's a way for that movie to have done like so much better, organically speaking, and for that story to have come forward. And it was just like a really unfortunate thing that it didn't come through. The other movie that I feel could have done a lot better was Bhedia. I didn't mention this in my soundtrack list, but actually this is my honorable mention in the soundtrack list, because I think the songs in this movie are actually really good, but nobody is talking about it because the marketing for this movie was shit. And also it sort of faltered towards the end. And I feel like if they had done a little bit better job of figuring out what the climax of this movie was going to be and how to better portray the journey that Varun Dhawan's character makes throughout the film, I think it would have been more successful. So Varun and Alia together again.
Wow. Okay. My underwhelming, I had actually a whole list of that. So there's a few that I have here is Anik. The Ayushmann Khurrana movie. I had high hopes because of Article 15, but this movie was just an utter mess. Jug Jug Jio, Varun Dhawan and Anil Kapoor, literally two of my favorite people on screen, and the movie wasn't great. Vikram Vedha didn't work either for me. I had high hopes, and I think that's been a general sentiment across the board for this movie. It didn't reach what it needed to reach. The cast that they had, the filmmakers that they brought back, and just the thing. But my biggest disappointment or underwhelming moment was Shamshera.
Yeah, same.
It's, coming off of Agnipath and, Ranbir being back. I love him. And, the scale that they put on, they worked on such a long time. Vani Kapoor still being hostage. And that damn flower bag baby that they give her. Shamshera is the top underwhelming for me, I guess.
Yeah, it could have been so much more with the budget and the production of Yash Raj behind it, and if they could have just honed down the script to make it absolutely masala, because it did not commit to it. It was there in that zone, but it did not commit to it. It just hurts so much more. The other mention that I have that could have been a cracking sort of a cult following movie is Love Hostel with Vikrant Massey and what's her face, Sanya Malhotra, and Bobby Deol plays an assassin in it, and I think those three could have had a really cracking time if the movie was a little tighter, and it was trying to get there, but it just couldn't. And I really like to see Bobby in this, in this form of a silent assassin, just ruthlessly killing people. He's really good at it. And more of this, please.
Is this on Z5? I actually didn't even know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Shamshera just makes me think of that Lauryn Hill lyric from X Factor, it could all be so simple, but you'd rather make it hard, that's what I was thinking about. Any other honorable mentions or anything like that you had on the list that we haven't discussed? I've got a few.
So my honorable mentions were Kala and Gehraiyan, and we have already talked about it. So
yeah. I had Good Luck Jerry on it with Janhvi Kapoor. I am sure nobody has watched that movie, but it's quite nice. And I know everybody will say the original is better, but I thought Janhvi was doing some really interesting things there. Jalsa, it wasn't on my list, but it's one of my honorable mentions. And then 2 was Brahmastra and Gangubai Kathiawadi. Okay. Those were my honorable mentions. Yeah. Amrita, did you have any other that you wanted to add?
Nope, that's me.
Cool. I think that's it for this episode, right? I think we're done talking for this episode. We're done talking for the year. I think we did a lot of talking, and I hope people enjoyed our talking, and I hope they enjoyed our talking next year too, which will be back. I think probably the first episode will be what we're looking forward to in 2023. So, I think. Let's just have a Christmas break. Be safe, be happy, be with your close ones, and give them a big, big hug. I think that's what we all need now. And I want to give you guys a virtual hug, to my audience and to my co-hosts, because I love you guys so much. That's it from us. Amrita, any final words of the year, or signing off?
Just a big thank you to everybody for being such a big support throughout these 2 very dark years. And I'm so glad that we all get to hang out and talk about things that we love for as long as we have this show. Because sometimes, I feel like the only thing that anybody ever talks about is like doom and gloom and how we're all going to die. So it's like really nice to just talk about things that maybe don't mean anything in the larger context, but makes life more worthwhile.
Lovely. Sujoy?
I don't have any wise words. Thank you for enjoying our podcast.
Everybody's very on brand. Great. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ or on Instagram at Amrita by the book.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 93K. And you can also follow the Khandaan Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Khandaan Podcast.
Drop us an email with your lists, things that we missed out. Did maybe we put it on the wrong number, or in the wrong ranking, or something that we should have hyped a little bit more. Drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com, or become a Patreon from $1. There's cool things happening next year for sure. I cannot explain now, but they're happening. So sign up to be kind of first, and then we have a community there. We already had a few lists sent to us, which I kind of included in this one. But always love hearing from our Patreon, so sign up there. And I wish you all an amazing end of the year. And I'm looking forward to chatting with everybody again in the next year. Happy New Year. Happy Christmas. Happy everything else that you celebrate or don't celebrate. And, if you are feeling alone, just listen to our podcast and laugh with us. Enjoy it. Thanks for listening, guys. And we'll be back again next year with a new episode.
Khandaan Podcast, Aamir, acting. Girl, you're my chum,